we all are preparing for birth, but then we come home and we're like, what do we do with this baby? Hey mamas, today's video is going to be all about how I'm preparing for postpartum. You can tell from the way that I sound that third trimester symptoms are really setting in. If you are new to this channel, my name is Chanel. I am a birth doula, virtual doula, childbirth educator, and lactation educator. All that means is that I am super passionate about birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding. And I am passionate about helping families go from a place of feeling overwhelmed and anxious and unprepared for birth and postpartum to getting to a place where they're feeling very confident, excited, in control, and empowered to have a very positive birth experience and postpartum journey. So if that is you, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that we can walk alongside this journey together. All right, so let's go ahead and start this video because baby boy is moving and there's no telling when he's going to come. So the first thing we need to talk about is what is the actual importance of preparing for postpartum? Why are we not just preparing for the birth? Well, first of all, we need to understand that preparing for postpartum is setting the tone for the rest of the first year of baby's life and your potentially first year of parenthood. I tell my clients all the time, education in pregnancy is setting you up for success for a positive birth experience. A positive birth experience, regardless of what kind of birth you have, is going to set you up for success in the fourth trimester. And preparing for the fourth trimester is going to set you up for success for the first year of life. So we have to think about a lot of these things ahead of time. And all of that starts with pregnancy. You need to know what you need to expect. You need to know what to prepare for. You need to know what's normal and what's not normal. You need to know what's going to work best for your family. Just because you hear about it on YouTube, just because you read about it in a blog, just because you follow somebody on Instagram and this is how they did it, or even for me, this is how I'm doing postpartum, does not mean that's going to fit for you. So take bits and pieces of other people's experiences, the education that you're learning, the evidence-based material that you're hopefully getting, and figure out what's going to be best for you so that you can be successful and thriving in the postpartum instead of just feeling like you are surviving. Because unfortunately, that is the narrative right now, that we have to just survive the postpartum experience. But I don't believe it has to be true. Yes, it's going to be challenging. Yes, you're going to be tired. Yes, it's going to be new. And yes, there's going to be bumps in the road, but that does not mean it has to be miserable. So the first thing we have to understand when it comes to preparing for postpartum is that if we want our mental health to be in the right place, we have to have a plan. We have to have an idea of what is normal and not normal, what to be expected, how we're going to best cope and deal with the things that may be mentally challenging for us in the postpartum. And so for me, mental health is extremely important, which is why one of the things that I'm doing is encapsulating my placenta. I have chosen to encapsulate my placenta now for the second time because it does have a lot of benefits when it comes to postpartum healing as well as mental health, because it can be a hormonal balancer, meaning that as our hormones are going all over the place and they're dipping, it can kind of taper off the extreme feeling of us feeling that dip in our hormonal change after we have our babies. So I'm a huge advocate of placenta encapsulation. This is just one tool that you can use to really just help yourself mentally in the postpartum. But of course, that can't just be it. Making sure that you have a therapist, making sure you have people to talk to, making sure you have a community that you can go to, because motherhood and postpartum can feel very lonely at times, especially if your partner is going back to work, especially if you're doing a lot of this by yourself. It can feel very, very lonely. So it's important that you set things up in pregnancy so that you have a space to be able to be mentally supported. Now, another thing that we need to be preparing for in the postpartum is the physical recovery. There are going to be a lot of things that our body is going through because we just spent 9 months growing a baby, and it is not smart for you to expect to have this bounce back sort of situation just because the baby is out of your body. Your body has to go through a lot of things to heal, and it's important that we learn how to rest and we learn how to properly recover from the physical standpoint. So there are a lot of things that I am doing to prepare for that, like seeing a pelvic floor therapist, making sure that I understand breathing techniques, making sure that my family is prepared for me to be on bed rest for the first couple of weeks at the minimum so that my body can fully recover. If we do not recover or we try to jump back into things too quickly, it will take your body a lot longer to recover, and you don't want that to happen. Family transitions. There's going to be a lot of family transitions. whether this is baby number 1, baby number 2, or number 5. Your family is going to go through a transition. Your relationship is going to go through a transition. So it's important to prepare for that ahead of time to make sure that you all can stay afloat, to stay on the same page, to be supportive of one another so that nobody feels like they're on an island by themselves or they're doing everything on their own. One of the things I talk with my clients about and the families that I work with and what we're talking about as a family is, what are we going to be doing with our children? How are they going to be involved? How are we going to communicate with each other when things are overwhelming, when we're tired, when we're sleep deprived, when the kids are getting on our nerves? Like, there's a lot of things that happen here, and you have to be able to plan ahead for that. While we obviously can't predict how every single day is going to go, we can have some level of a strategy put together, and this is like my type A personality, but we can have some of a strategy or a plan in place ahead of time on how we're going to actually navigate some of these family transitions and who's going to actually come in and support us. And then that leads me to the last part that we need to prepare for, which is support. I am a huge believer that in the first month or two, you should be bringing in as many support people to help you run your day-to-day life as possible. Now, if you're like me, you do not like a lot of people in your home, you don't like a lot of people around, and that is totally fine, and I totally respect that because that's me too. But unfortunately, I also have a problem of wanting my house clean. Please, I urge you, find people who can help you. And we'll talk about some of the people that we're looking into getting support from. This can be family, this can be friends, this can be people from your church, this can be people who you hire. It doesn't have to be every single day, but there are things that you should try to take off of your plate for you and for your partner so that both of you can spend the amount of time that you need to together with your baby, with your toddlers, so that the cleaning or the cooking doesn't have to be one of the stressors that you guys deal with every single day. And for our family, trying to figure out what to eat for dinner is one of the most stressful things of the day. And if somebody can help us with that while we're also sleep deprived and dealing with a newborn, I think that's a good idea. So something to consider, something to figure out whether or not that's going to work for your family, but figuring out what kind of support you're going to have in the 4th trimester, because some level of support is needed. And these can be done by family members, but you will have to be very clear with those family members how you expect them to help so that they can be helpful and not just take up space. All right. That's for another video. We will not talk about that this time, but keep in mind, these are some things that we need to be thinking about as we're preparing for the postpartum. So how am I actually putting all of that into play, and how are we actually going to implement all of the things that I just talked about? Well, we are putting together a postpartum plan, and in my program, Work Your Birth, I do provide a template and a guide for how to actually come up with a postpartum plan. And so we're doing that. My husband and I are working on that together to really finalize that, hopefully within the next week, really just to work out all of those details of the fine-tuned things that are going to need to be true for our family to stay afloat, to stay on the same page, to maintain the things that we're already doing with our children while we also welcome somebody else into our home. So that is going to be something that we are working on. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure you check down below. We can talk about that in a call, all about the program and seeing if that's a good fit for you. So from a mental health perspective, a lot of the things that I'm doing to prepare for the postpartum and for the birth are prayer. It is essential for me in my belief system to pray every day and to be able to have conversations with God so that I can be in the place that I need to be mentally and spiritually. Another thing that is really important to me is affirmations. I am very big on affirmations because I believe it's one of those things that, for me, as somebody who desires and loves words of affirmation, it's going to be what helps me stay afloat, not only in birth, but in the postpartum, and reminds me what I'm capable of and reminds me that I'm not alone. And so in the birth, I'm actually going to be using these affirmation cards that one of my friends created. You can create your own affirmation cards as well. I have a free template down below if you want to create your own affirmation cards, but I'm going to be using these affirmation cards in birth, and I'm going to be using them in the postpartum as well, along with some affirmations that I have created for myself. So this is going to be really important just to keep my mind in the right place. Our minds can try to take over what we've been planning for and working for this entire pregnancy. And so for me, between prayer and affirmations, and then even reading and watching positive birth stories, not ones that my friends are telling me about, not ones that are traumatic, because it does not help me get to where I want to go. Watching those positive birth stories, it just sparks that excitement for me and makes me really prepared for birth. So that is also something that I would highly encourage you to do, is to watch positive birth stories. I have an entire highlight on my Instagram of positive birth stories that you can watch, because sometimes, as you know, you can get on YouTube, you can click on a video and it's clickbait, and then all of a sudden you just heard this traumatic birth story that you did not even expect to be listening to. So if you want to have a little bit of a filter, check out my Instagram for that, and I will be able to guide you with some really beautiful and positive birth videos. And then lastly, hypnobirthing. Very similar to affirmations, but hypnobirthing is a tool that you can use to really help yourself stay calm and peaceful and relaxed. Utilizing the Christian hypnobirthing app has been really helpful for me. I really love it as a believer. It's something that I listen to help me stay calm. And I know that there are other aspects of meditation that I will most likely utilize in the postpartum on the days that I may feel overwhelmed. From a physical perspective, some of the things that I'm doing to prepare for postpartum, especially when it comes to that recovery piece, is stretching. It's really important that you are stretching your body now, not only for birth, but so that your body can fully recover quickly in the postpartum. I'm also practicing breathing exercises, because breathing techniques are one of the first exercises that you can do in the postpartum, literally after you have your baby, to re-strengthen your core and heal any diastasis recti you may have experienced as a result of pregnancy and birth. I'm also seeing a chiropractor weekly. I see a pelvic floor therapist every 2 weeks. And I do see a massage therapist for body work, which has been really helpful just to help baby engage and to release any tension or break through any old scar tissue that I may have from previous births. We are also preparing our home for the birth, which means lots of organizing, lots of cleaning, freezer meals, lots of meal prepping. One of the things that was really, really helpful for me in my second pregnancy was to do freezer meals, which just basically means that when you're cooking dinner or lunch, to make a double batch of whatever it is that you're making and freeze the second batch, so that when it comes to postpartum, all you have to do is take it out, thaw it out, put it in the oven, and you're done. There is very little prep needed in the first couple of weeks. I have seen the number of 25 thrown out as far as how many meals you should have prepared going into your postpartum journey. I think you have to just do what works best for you. I don't know if we will reach 25 meals at this point, because for one, I don't know if it's going to all fit in our freezer, but we're going to do the best that we can do. I like to do a lot of soups. I like to do a lot of casseroles, things that are easy to feed the family and don't take that much prep, because unfortunately, Mama doesn't have time for all that right now. So I'm going to just do what I can. But I think right now we have about 10 or 12 meals planned out, and now my job is to execute the actual prepping. But freezer meals are a huge, huge, huge help when it comes to preparing for postpartum. If you do not cook, or that is not your area of expertise, Meal Train is an awesome alternative where you can allow people to actually send you meals that you like from your favorite restaurant. So I would highly encourage you have a close friend or family member set up the Meal Train for you, send it out to your friends and family, and allow you to have meals sent to your home when you choose, on the days that you choose, with the food that you choose, with little communication, because you don't have time for that either. And then lastly, what kind of support are you going to have in your house? Are you going to have somebody to come in and help clean? Are you going to have someone to come in and do your laundry? Are you going to have someone come in and help with your children? These are all things that we are considering. So it may be worth having someone invest in or gift to you in the postpartum, so that you can have someone come and clean your house a couple of times within the first couple of months, because you should not be doing that. You should be focusing on you and your baby in the bed, resting and recovering, and allowing someone else to take that off of your plate. And unfortunately, my belief is that it should not always all fall on your partner. So if it's all falling on your partner, maybe it's something worth considering. We are talking about all of these things as well, and trying to finalize our decisions to make sure that our home will still run and function as needed without it putting more work on us. This is not just preparing your body to have a baby, but this is also making sure that you are setting yourself up for success. And I would not be doing my job if I did not educate you on why all those things were important. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the thumbs up button so that I know. I'm also interested to know, what are you most excited about when it comes to postpartum? What are you most nervous about when it comes to postpartum? Drop that in the comments below so I can talk to you guys, so I can engage with you. I want to know if there's a way that I can support you. If you are still struggling, which is completely normal, if you're still struggling and you desire to have some level of education and support, I do have an online childbirth education class and support called Work Your Birth. It is a program where I help families go from this place of feeling overwhelmed and anxious to confident and empowered to have a very positive birth and postpartum experience. If that is you, make sure to book a call with me. I have included that link in the description below. We will talk about it. Let's talk about if this is for you. Let's talk about how we can support you to getting to where you want to go. So I look forward to talking to you. Again, thank y'all for watching this video. Thank you for being a part of this community, and I will see you on the next video.